All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a highly charged, seriously polarizing debate that recently blew up on the Diary of a CEO. We're tracking a massive head-to-head clash between progressive commentator Cenk Uygur and capitalist entrepreneur Kevin O'Leary. Our goal today is to impartially break down their complex arguments and map out exactly where their worldviews completely collide on the biggest issues facing us today.
So, think about this. Are we heading toward an era of unprecedented, mind-blowing wealth? Or are we standing on the edge of mass unemployment and societal chaos? That single massive question lies at the absolute heart of their clash. It's so fascinating because both sides are looking at the exact same technological catalysts, yet they are coming away with radically different predictions for our future.
To make sense of it all, we're going to break this debate into four key battlegrounds. 1. AI, economic boom or doom. 2. The global AI race. 3. Middle East war motivations. And 4. The future of U.S. capitalism.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, AI, economic boom or doom.
The divide here, it literally couldn't be sharper. And honestly, it directly impacts your livelihood. Cenk is warning of a devastating unemployment tsunami hitting the middle class, arguing that corporations rushing to cut their workforces for an AI advantage will inevitably trigger an economic depression. But Kevin totally rejects this. He counters that AI is basically a rocket ship. He sees it driving unprecedented productivity, curing cancer, and actually creating millions of brand new engineering jobs. To put the sheer scale of this disruption into perspective, think about this number, 9.4 million. During the debate, it was brought up that Uber CEO privately acknowledged autonomous vehicles could eventually replace 9.4 million human drivers. And when asked what those 9.4 million people would actually do next, his reported answer was a highly reassuring, I don't know. And you know that kind of blank uncertainty? It echoes all across the tech industry. Elon Musk goes as far as predicting a world with far more robots than people. Specifically, he's projecting a 2-to-1 ratio of humanoid robots to humans. So, boom or doom, this disruption isn't just some sci-fi hypothetical anymore. It's a heavily funded business roadmap.
Moving on to section 2, the global AI race. So what happens when massive new AI data centers face intense local resistance, like a recent project in Utah? Well, the diagnoses are polar opposites. Kevin argues that he has forensic evidence showing foreign powers, specifically China, are secretly funding misinformation campaigns to stall U.S. energy progress. But Cenk, he argues the resistance is just common sense. He states that corporations are basically offloading their massive grid demands, spiking local energy bills by up to 30%, while they just pocket all the profits.
And here is where the contrast gets wild. While U.S. data centers are stuck in gridlock, fighting local pushback, China operates under entirely different rules. Get this, in just 19 months, China rapidly built 400 gigawatts of coal power just to blindly fuel their AI models. It is a staggering contrast in how two superpowers are fueling the exact same technological arms race.
So all of this really begs the question, how do these massive domestic resource demands and supply chain tensions actually spill over into real kinetic warfare overseas?
Which brings us to section 3, Middle East war motivations. As an impartial observer looking at this, the contrast is just incredibly stark. Cenk sees a proxy war serving Israeli interest for regional dominance and land expansion, which he claims is sustained through the legalized bribery of U.S. politicians. Kevin, on the flip side, views the conflict strictly through the lens of global economic security. He sees military action as a necessary containment of rogue Iranian militia leaders who are actively terrorizing international shipping. The crucial underlying point here is international leverage, specifically energy flow. A massive 48% of China's energy flows directly through the Strait of Hormuz. That is a massive global choke point currently being threatened by the regional conflict. Now, both of these guys completely agree that the conflict is an absolute economic disaster, but their fixes? Total opposites. Cenk advocates for pure U.S. isolationism. Step away, lift the blockades, force a diplomatic peace deal, and get our domestic gas prices down. Kevin predicts a brutal, market-driven solution. He believes the economic pain from disrupted shipping will eventually force China to squeeze Iranian leadership into settling, which will lead to a UN-style policing of the strait.
That brings us to our final battleground, Section 4. The future of U.S. capitalism. Sank argues that our current system is just fundamentally broken by unchecked corporate greed and lobbying, creating what he calls crony capitalism. His core warning is actually pretty dire. If corporations use AI to eliminate their workforce without putting a safety net in place, they will literally bankrupt their own consumer base. If the middle class disappears, the entire economic machine collapses.
But directly countering that, Kevin totally dismisses this doomsday hysteria. He fiercely defends the system, asserting that free market competition and low taxes are the only proven engines in human history to navigate this kind of massive upheaval. He argues that if you heavily tax the rich to pay for displaced workers, the capital will simply flee the country, and it'll take the innovation and any remaining jobs right along with it. So, pulling all of this together, we're looking at a profound ideological divide. On one side, you have a progressive framework arguing for middle-out economics, democratic oversight, and strict protections against corporate disruption. On the other side, a capitalist framework deeply rooted in free market optimism, aggressive deregulation, and the steadfast belief that technological progress always creates way more than it destroys. Now, despite these massive, world-altering differences, both guests actually agree on one striking point. The intense frustration over these unresolved issues is going to heavily fuel populist movements. As public trust in traditional institutions and corporate CEOs drops to all-time lows, both foresee a highly volatile political landscape. Unconventional populists like Tucker Carlson, who they specifically mentioned, are perfectly positioned to capitalize on voter anger heading into the 2028 elections. We've laid out the arguments from both ends of the spectrum here, impartially. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one critical question. As AI rapidly automates human labor and grid-scale wars threaten our global supply chains, can our current economic system actually survive the next decade? Or are we building a future that we just aren't prepared for? Think about it and keep learning.